Hello, everyone. If you're watching the replay, give me a hashtag replay. Let me know that you are here. And for those of you that are hopping on live now, hello, thank you, and welcome. It is lovely to have you here for our live series. And today I have the pleasure of speaking to Abigail. Abigail has been described as a Mary Poppins. Now, come on, tell me who has watched the film and not thought I need one of those in my life. So that is what Abigail does for people. So I'm really excited to speak to Abigail because I am a firm believer that we need support at home in order to be able to show up as ourselves for our business, to be able to achieve all the things that we want to achieve, and quite honestly, so that we don't end up feeling like we are either a rubbish business owner, a rubbish parent, a rubbish wife, a rubbish everything, a rubbish all the things at the same time. We all need support in both in our businesses and in our lives overall. So Abigail, thank you so much for joining me today.
Good morning, Annette. No, it's lovely. It's lovely to be on and talk about what I do. And yes, exactly. There's so much pressure on what we all do, and we must be a good wife. Exactly what you've just said. But I've never ever wanted that badge of honour in that superwoman. It just being passed around. Oh, but I've done this. I've done this. There's no prize for doing all the things at all.
There's no like extra life points or anything like that.
Exactly. It's just a one-way ticket to burnout, feeling absolutely rubbish and doing all those things, but in a mediocre way. Yeah. So get the help. And it doesn't always have to be on a full-time basis to start off with either.
Yeah. And I also think as well that when you're in that position that you feel like you're doing everything, either in your home or in your business, in fact, you end up breeding resentment really for whichever area of your life that is happening in too. And that can never be a good thing. It's never a good thing in your business, for your staff and for your team, but it's also never good at home for those people you live with and your family and friends.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no reason why you would be doing all the things. You can introduce help in a very, very small way. Get a cleaner for just an hour a week. Yeah. Very, very small things. Even time blocking, adding in the time to travel, contingencies, just to give yourself the 15 minutes. I mean, I think to start off with, you've got to add at least 15 minutes a day for yourself. At lunchtime, I have 15 minutes, my phone gets left somewhere else, and I just sit with my food. No one in my laptop, 15 minutes a day, and anyone can do that regardless of how busy their life is.
Absolutely. I actually do have lunch blocked off for half an hour in my diary every single day, because otherwise I would just work through it. I would be trying to eat at the side. And it's a big thing that I put in I started doing that probably about 2 years ago. And for the first 6 months, I was terrible at sticking to it. But actually, once I actually embraced that, then having that lunch in my diary blocked off. And a big part of that as well, I think, is holding yourself accountable to the meeting that you have in your diary with yourself, in the same way that you would hold yourself accountable if you had a meeting with a client or a team member as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's got to be a non-negotiable, and you have to see it in exactly the same light as you've just illustrated, Annette, because it's as important, if not more important, than those meetings you've got with clients. Because if you skip lunch 1, 2, 3 times a week, you're going to feel more tired, you're going to feel more exhausted, lack of motivation, that snowball builds up and up and up. And it's so easy to do, but those things are what we work with clients. We get those lunches in, I'll text my client, have you had lunch?
Amazing. I love that.
Because it's quite easy to go, oh, I have. What did you have? Yeah. It's almost like a mum.
A biscuit.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll build in an extra 15 minutes travel time, go to your meeting early, have something on the way. There's always a way around it. I've not had my clients win at excuses yet.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you're a fan of time blocking as well. When I show people my diary, when people get a glimpse of my calendar, they completely freak out because it looks insane. But that is because I block time for everything. I even have sleep in my diary. I have like evening routine, getting ready for bed in my diary. So when you look at my Google Calendar, like every minute is blocked, but some of that time is just relaxation time.
Yeah, I mean, I do time block, but it is loosely. So my calendar probably doesn't look as rigid as yours, just because of the world that I operate in. It's very reactive, and clients will suddenly realise something's urgent, and you can't always account for 15 minutes or an hour or something. So I loosely time block, but just putting those contingencies in. If you think you've got project work in, you think half an hour, do an hour.
Yeah.
Because then you can claim that time back.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can have a to-do list where if I have extra time, this is my like extra time to-do list that I can do stuff in. So it's not wasted time if you're overestimating as well.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just about being realistic. Realize and understand that it's perfectly okay not to do all the things. And if you've got a to-do list of more than 10 things, at least 3 of those things need to be deleted and eradicated. And loads of people have more than one to-do list, which is obviously a bit of a mistake. And, work through it every day. Just think 3 things per day. That's it. No more. Be realistic. You don't have to achieve world domination in a week.
Now I know that as what comes up for me when people say that to me, 3 things, do achieve 3 things today or achieve 3 things this week. I think, oh, okay, so I've got 3 business things to do and I've got 3 personal things to do and I've got 3. Do you find people feel that way as well?
Yeah, it is. And then suddenly you get back to the 10 to 15 things that are suddenly on the list, and back to square one again. But no, it's very much, I had a new client call yesterday and it was all very much business. And I said, but what about you? What rather than a to-do list, it could be a to-you list. Where are you on your list? When was the last time you went out for a walk on your own without your phone? When was the last time you had a bath without your phone? Did something for you? Went shopping, went to a HIIT class. It doesn't matter what that thing is. Incorporating into their well-being part of your life into your day-to-day life is really, really key, because it's so underestimated how much value it can provide to all areas of your life, just by thinking, actually, I'm going to do this for me first, and then everything else comes after, because you'll be on fire for the rest of the day if you put yourself first.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, when we are kind of high achieving business people, it's it is the last thing we think of for most of us. It is that we actually, we wake up thinking about business and we go to bed thinking about business. And actually, it can be really, really challenging for many, many business owners to walk away from that phone for half an hour, because what if, even if you're in an industry where there really isn't emergencies, I run an accounting firm. There are very, very rarely any actual accounting emergencies that come up. I'm not working for the fire brigade. There are very, there's just not accounting emergencies. But even still, when I have to put my phone somewhere for an hour, I start to feel a bit of anxiety around that. So how do you help clients, deal with that when they kind of push back on you and say, well, I can't take a bath for half an hour and leave my phone somewhere. What are you talking about?
So that's just about the boundaries, isn't it? And to create balance in life, you need the boundaries, flexible boundaries. They don't have to be rigid in any way. Things change, life happens, but to have you could put your do not disturb on your phone, so it's not off, but it could just soften the notifications for half an hour. And I always say, worst case scenario, one of your children's taken horrifically ill and they need to get hold of you. That person really needs to get hold of you. They're not just going to ring you and leave a voicemail. They'll keep ringing you.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. So, looking at, always go worst case scenario. Usually 9 times out of 10, nothing happens. It just means their inbox gets another 5 or 10 emails in that half an hour.
Yes.
That's pretty much the worst case scenario. You might miss a few calls, but you'll be fed. Gather your thoughts. Again, I'm always telling clients, just brain dump. If you're really feeling overwhelmed and you really finding it hard to detach your phone, you need to get it all out. Just brain dump. It doesn't, all unrelated, doesn't need to make sense. Just dump it and then delegate. Go through, what can you do? What do you really need to do? Because the chances are you don't need to do everything on that list. Delegate. But
and I think as well, don't be afraid to delegate to people in your household.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Again, it comes back to doing all the things. You know, are you unloading the dishwasher? Are you still doing your washing? You know, get kids involved, get your other half involved. It's
or your kids, depending on how old they are.
Yeah, exactly. It comes back to that Superwoman badge that doesn't actually exist and serves no one any purpose at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I have on my phone as well is I actually have most notifications turned off. The vast majority of notifications I don't have turned on, because I find, particularly if you have social media notifications and email notifications turned on, that can just add massively to the overwhelm. Even if you have that thing where your email doesn't pop up, but you have the number of unread showing on the email folder. I don't have that, because that's
like a siren, isn't it? Going, you've got loads to do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So again, like going back to the time blocking. So again, if you want to attack your emails first thing in the morning, get up, put you first for 15 minutes, at least get dressed and feed yourself. And then set your alarm on your phone, set a half an hour timer, email blast, quick, go through your emails. Anything that you need to deal with that day, mark it as red. Anything as yellow would be within the week, and anything as green within 2 weeks. Easy. And then when you go back into your inbox, you can quickly see which ones that you need to deal with straight away, rather than just leaving them unread, which is very, very common. And just setting yourself, if you've got your timer on, you don't then get lost down by rabbit holes if you're on Facebook or whatever, because your alarm goes off and it quickly snaps you back into reality. So again, I use timers for myself. If I think I need to get my head down, get some stuff done, timer goes on, and it's surprising how productive you can be knowing that you're against the clock.
Yeah, lovely. I love that. I also, another thing that I have on my phone as well, which helps alleviate that worry for me that, oh my goodness, you know, the school might be trying to get in touch with me because something terrible has happened. I don't have, my phone won't actually ring the noise unless it's 3 key people. So one is my husband, the other is my mom, and the third is the school phone number. It's only those numbers that will actually audibly make a noise and ring on my phone. And you can do those settings. I have an iPhone, so you can do those settings inside your iPhone. I suspect Androids have a similar setting, so that I'm not constantly distracted, constantly getting pulled and pushed around.
Yeah, no, that's great. Exactly. Again, it's those boundaries. So you set those boundaries. So when you don't want to be contacted, if it's urgent, the 3 people that mean the most can get through to you. Exactly. That's brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think, you know, it's great that we have the technology that we have nowadays, but like we said, you know, it can really tie people to the technology, but actually making use of it in a positive way, like you mentioned with the emails. I think that's a great plan for people, because you go into your inbox and you just got all this stuff, and you kind of look through it roughly once, but then you need to look through it roughly again to see what you deal with, and then you need to look. So instead of having to revisit things 3 or 4 times till you get through all your emails, color coding can be a great way to actually just prioritize nice, simply and easily in your inbox.
Yeah. And please, everyone, delete anything that says okay. Just short acknowledgements, just delete them, please. It's just the amount of emails I see. Yes, okay. And then, I'll just file that because it's confirmation. Just delete it.
Yeah. I have to say, I'm pretty good at hitting the archive button in my email.
I mean, technology is great, like you say, but we can be contacted through so many different ways, and it really does need to be kept at arm's length in order to, you know, look after our mental health, because it can be very, very consuming.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say to people who, what we've spoken about so far is, I guess, people who are at home and they maybe have a partner or kids that can help out and stuff. What about those people that are, they come back home from work, or they're working from home, and they step into kind of home life, but everything is on them at home as well as at work. So perhaps they've got young kids, they're on their own, they don't have somebody to fall back on when it comes to the mental load at home, when it comes to all the dishwasher, the laundry, all
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
yeah.
How, because I would think that people in that position are thinking, well, this is all very good, but in the 15 minutes I'm in the bath, who's looking after my 2-year-old?
Yeah, I mean, again, it comes to boundaries. So I suggest having the bath maybe when the children are in bed, then if you've got no one to fall back on, and having the period between, say, 4 and 7, when they're back from school and dinner time, that's your time at home. Between 4 and 7, don't overestimate what you think you can get done. If you can have that whole 3 hours out, take it out. Take that pressure off yourself. You might be able to pick a few things up just and do an hour in the evening. It depends how your day, if you do the school run and things like that, but be realistic. Don't think and set up, right, I need to do that project work when you know your young children are going to be within arm's length, when they're hungry. Feed and do all the survival skills first. Feed yourself, the children, make sure they're happy. If you do need to have an important meeting or get something really, really urgent done and they're around, feed them. Spend 15, 20 minutes with them first, set them up with a film or something like that. And then you could probably have half an hour away from that situation, other than just giving them an iPad when they're actually still hungry and they've just got in from school and they're still really wired and things, So think about it in terms of actually just setting up the scenario depending on their age. And if you have got someone around, I've got 3 children. We've got a bit of a rota, a very loose rota, because if one happens to start after school club, it goes out the window. But my eldest does the dishwasher, and my middle child does, like, clears the table and anything kind of dining related. And then my youngest, who's 7, is just empty a packed lunchbox, get ready for the day the next day, and is more of an independent, looking after himself still at the moment. But it's not loads, but it alleviates things from me, and it just teaches them that actually we all live here. There's no way it should all fall on my lap. Giving them those independent skills at the same time. So it's kind of, doesn't always work. I'm realistic. And Alexa is known to come on at 7 o'clock to remind the older 2 that their job's been done. So I do have to keep up. But it's putting those things in place in the first place. It's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, and I love actually that you're using technology to remind them, which means you don't have to be the one that has to remember to nag them to do the thing, because the technology is already set up. You've basically already automated the nagging, which I really like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it goes off because they both have Alexas in their room, as well as we've got one down here. They can't say that they haven't heard the reminder, because if they're not down here, it's in their room as well. So if they've didn't hear it, nice try.
Yeah.
And if they want to go on and do something else, go and play a game, whatever it is, do your job first. So so it's just about boundaries and looking at what works for you, what works for people on social media and all that kind of thing. Let it go. It's not real. If they appear to have all their stuff together, they might have some stuff together, but I promise you, not every area of everyone's life is always running like clockwork. It's just not real.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is felt by a lot of people. A lot of our listeners and business owners have that sort of perfectionism trait that comes and taps them on the shoulder every so often. Absolutely. And I think it can be really easy to forget that what we see when we are kind of scrolling on Instagram or Facebook or whatever is not real life. It is a curated version of what people are putting out there. And so if you are feeling like lots of this is overwhelming for you at the moment, then most people are in a similar position to you. They're not having all their stuff together in all areas of their life, and asking for help in whichever area is causing you stress and overwhelm is always the right thing to do. You know, communication
Absolutely.
and speaking it through with somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you're never, if you happen to say to a friend, something's melting your brain, or you just can't get it together in whatever area of your life, I guarantee that they're relieved that you've actually spoken up and said, oh, you know, that's happened to them in the last couple of months.
Yeah.
And if they're a good friend, they won't think anything of you. And if you're being
No.
judged, then, you know, you're talking to the wrong person. But you've never, it's life. And, you know, the role of us women have changed a huge amount. And I work with women that absolutely adore what they do, really, really driven, and then feel ashamed to kind of play that mother role or the wife role because they've, you know, kind of doing all the things. But there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. You're a fantastic role model to your children, and getting help just shows them actually that you're human, and that having help makes you a better role model for doing that, rather than showing them how knackered you can be and that you can't actually be bothered to do anything because you're too tired.
Yeah, or you're grumpy and grouchy and snap at them because you're tired as well.
Exactly. And that's never going to be appreciated by anybody. So again, the Superwoman badge, burn it.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Stella. We got Stella saying great conversation. It really is. I think this is really such an important area. For people that run a business, and for those that don't, in all honesty as well, because it's also very applicable to any human, quite frankly, who is trying to juggle their life, which we all are at the end of the day. Ultimately, we are all trying to juggle our lives, and you know, the whole making sure that you get the survival things in first, I think, is so important. It feeds back to that saying, isn't it, where they say, you know, put your own oxygen mask on before assisting others. And that, you know, feeds back into having time blocked out for yourself in your diary, having your lunch blocked out for yourself in your diary, making sure you are fed, making sure you are rested, making sure you have sleep, because without these core things on the, you know, bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we can't perform any of the top stuff. We can't show up as our best in business or in life. And actually, we're doing ourselves and our businesses a massive disservice at the same time.
Yep, exactly. It really does come back to those basics, like you're saying it. It's but they get railroaded all the time. You know, like as a mum, they tend to feed their children first and then themselves. Feed yourself first, because it's making lunch when you're ratty and picking at their lunch is, you know, you know, it's things I suffer from as well. There's no, just because I serve, you know, as an online Mary Poppins to clients, I have these things in my life as well, which is, you know, one of the reasons I started my business. I needed the extra personal life support in order to show up as a business PA. So to provide that overlap is, it's just brilliant now, and people are really seeing that it helps. And, you know, having all the support in the birthdays and the anniversaries, and, you know, the client that only buys birthday presents on her way to seeing that person whose birthday it is.
That's me. That's me. I do that.
You know, the flowers from the garage and things like that. And she said, I'm so fed up with turning up with flowers, or, you know, it's got spa written on it or something like that.
I was going to say, it's peeling off the price tag on the way.
Exactly. So, you know, we create what's called like a gift cupboard, and we buy lots of different gifts, and just having lots of things at home that you can just pick from the gift cupboard to take with you. You know, lots of Baylis and Harding things, or some, you know, Molten Brown or whatever it might be. Having it there, having a selection of children's birthday presents in a cupboard, lots of different cards for you to choose from. Done. You don't have to think about it for 6 months. We bulk buy in 6 months. Done. No more spa visits needed.
I love it.
So but again, it's just thinking ahead. But again, there's that, it comes back to time blocking.
And I think that's probably the biggest issue nowadays with many people is the time and the brain space almost to think ahead, because we're so caught in our day to day and what we need to achieve now and thinking about our businesses, that actually when we are at home, the thinking ahead, like the thinking's been done for the day, our heads are kind of like, oh, okay, whoosh, my head's done now. I can be present with my kids, but much more than that, like the forward planning at home, that becomes really tricky for a lot of people because they've been so stuck in that during the day too, I think.
Exactly. Our heads are always in our businesses. Exactly. So to then come home and think, right, you look at the family calendar or however you organise the family life, you just think, oh, I've just not got the energy. And then days go by and you start to miss things. But it's when we take new clients on, I've got an onboarding questionnaire. So we ask the clients all those questions first. Who are the 5 most important people in your life? We take all the birthdays first and foremost. Where do you like to sit on a plane? What palate? What's your palate? You prefer Indian, Italian food, that kind of thing. So we then sort things out in the background. So when you come in from work, you don't have to worry about Sandy's birthday on Saturday or anything like that because we've already done it. So it's alleviating that brain space that is just so incredibly precious, because we realise that, again, doing all the things isn't a good way to lead your life.
Yeah, I love that, the 5 most important people. And I suspect, people who are listening to this and thinking, oh, I need to do something like that. I'm guessing they can set up reminders in their calendars a few days before and all that kind of stuff to try and, give themselves a bit more brain space around that type of thing too.
Yeah, I mean, for people that's listening, so go through your calendar from now until the summer, any birthdays you've got going on or anything like birthday parties, kid happenings, whatever it might be. Go and buy them now or over the next couple of months and just put them in a cupboard and then set your phone reminders of where you've put it, because that's another classic.
I love that.
I know I've bought something and put it in a safe place, but wherever that safe place is. So reminder of where it is, what it is, 2 days before the event. Don't do it in the morning, 2 days before the event, and then it's done. And then it really makes a massive difference on your next couple of months, because when you come in, oh, I can actually just sit and watch a bit of telly or whatever it might be because it's done.
Yeah, I love that. Some great tips, Abigail, for everyone, for sure. I'm certainly going to look at implementing some of these in my business. But why don't you tell us a little bit about how people can find out more about you and what you do to help serve your clients, and how you do take on a lot of these things that we've talked about on behalf of your clients so that they no longer need to worry about these things.
So, I mean, there's nothing that we don't really do. I've booked a funeral before. It's not something we would like to necessarily do again, but we diary manage. We take care of any element of personal lives, down to theatre bookings, restaurant bookings, liaising with private staff, so nannies, arranging babysitters, finding private staff in the first place, finding that cleaner that you want to start handing things over to. It's a holistic support, in essence, because it's about the person. So if we worked with you, Annette, it would be for you as Annette, not as a business owner, not as a wife, not as a mum. It would be for you, Annette. So it would be as, what can we put in place for you? So we'd find out, what do you like doing? Do you like yoga? Do you like dancing? And then we put in that to you list. So then when we're in your diary, we'd be making sure that although you've got all these meetings color coded and time blocked, where's your yoga? Where's your, that kind of thing. So we'd be incorporating that into your week. When we take clients on, as I said, we've got an onboarding questionnaire. So we take away all those details. Should we booking holidays and things? We take the passport numbers and where you sit on a plane, all those details first and foremost, so that when a holiday needs booking, we don't have all that toing and froing as to all the arrangements, because it's always last minute. We've already got it. The strapline of my business is live life seamlessly, and that's really what we're kind of aiming for. It is a bit bumpy, I'm not going to lie. It's not always seamless because everyone lives a completely different life. But after 3 or 4 months, it's a lot more seamless than what it was when we first started working with a lot of the clients. So as I said, there's three of me now, because again, I suffer from all the things just as anyone else does. I've got we're a family of 5. So I've definitely started and having to implement a lot of the things that I teach to my clients now for obvious reasons. And it's teaching them how to brain dump, because even saying to someone, just do a brain dump. How do you do a brain dump?
Yeah. How do you get the stuff out your head? What do you think to do a brain dump? Yeah.
Absolutely. So I've got a free download. It just takes you through. It just divides basically. So you don't have to download it, but it's just basically a divide into all your areas of life. So your family, your friends, your business, maybe who you work with, and then maybe your sort of your love life. Download those 3 things. What do you think about your friends? Are you spending enough time with them? Would you like to make new friends? Would you like to get rid of any friends that are in your life that really drain that energy? It's just whatever is on your mind, just write it down. I mean, some people are really good with journaling. I've got the 5-minute journal because it's a bit more kind of condensed. But brain dumping is exactly what it says on the tin. Whatever is in your head, write it down. It doesn't have to make sense. It's just about getting it out. And I promise you, it's always beneficial, because once you see it, crossing things out that mean nothing is just it's really, really stress relieving.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a big fan of the brain dump as well, Abigail. So I love that. Thank you so much for coming on today. I think this has been a great conversation for people. And I think it's been incredibly useful. Some of these little tasks that people can kind of go away and do to make their lives a little bit less stressful, a little bit more seamless. So what we'll do is we will, for those of you on the podcast, we will include all Abigail's links and stuff in the show notes as well. And thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Annette. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
No problem at all. Thanks, Abigail.
Thanks.
Here we go.